Hey guys, Pastor Dominic, EXP Realty, part of the Johnson Group, here with Brandon Giebler from Next Move Realty. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm pretty excited today. I mean, it's a pretty busy last week into this week, so we got a lot of Christmas shopping done. I'm ready for Christmas. You ready for Christmas?
No.
Well, no. We went down to the city, the Christmas market downtown. If you haven't been downtown to Plant Riverside to check out the Christmas market, it's so beautiful. And then, of course, City Market is decked out to the nines. We're going down there tomorrow to do some more shopping, so I'm pretty excited about it. But today, everybody's not here to talk about our Christmas plans. They're here to talk about, we have a special guest today, Shawn Randerwala from Port Wentworth City Council. If you're not aware, there was a zoning ordinance that was passed through City Council that talks about the language of data centers. And Shawn's going to be here to talk about that, talk about himself, talk about that, and then talk about the future of Port Wentworth. And I'm really excited to have him on here. But Brandon, you got a little something you want to say first, right?
I just want to say this is just an open, respectful type of conversation to where we can learn some stuff. We're not trying to be rude or be mean or whatever. It's kind of an emotional thing. We get it. I've done the research. I get it. But we're just educational, ask questions, do all the things, but ultimately to be respectful as we're trying to get the message across and get information out to you. This is for your benefit. We're trying to help out, at least get you educated. So I just would hope that you would be at least respectful-ish.
Well, and then too, I hope that this can turn into something to where we can get more city councilors on here to talk about, the future of Port Wentworth, the plans that are going on, things that are happening, so that you guys are. So my biggest thing I see a lot of times is that we're talking past each other, but we're not actually talking to each other. And I'm trying to create a place where we can talk to each other. So thank you, Dad. Merry Christmas to you too.
Merry Christmas, Daddy Pat.
Hello, y'all's here. She's excited. She's ready. I'm ready. All right. So you ready, buddy?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's bring him on. So Shawn Randerwala. Welcome, buddy. How are you doing?
Good. How's everything?
Good. Are you geared up for your Christmas plans and all that stuff?
As ready as I'm going to get. I got most of my Christmas shopping done for the little man, and I'm ready.
Are you guys traveling anywhere? Or are you guys staying here?
No, we staying here.
Smart.
Yeah, that's smart. We are too. I think we're going to leave right after Christmas and go north. So hopefully the weather holds out for us. So I'm pretty excited. But thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And we're just going to get right into the question, okay?
Okay.
All right, and hello, y'all. Says it's nice. Oh, go ahead, buddy. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. She says, "Nice to see you, Councilman Randerwala."
All right, here we go. So, Shawn, for the people that may not know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role on the council, and what District 4 includes?
So my name is Shawn Randerwala. I live in Rice Hope. My district normally includes everything on Rice Hope side of 21, going all the way from FAN County to most of the downtown on that side. I've lived in Port Wentworth for 17 years in Rice Hope. I've seen Port Wentworth grow from nothing to, we're growing leaps and bounds. Own several businesses in the city. I coach soccer for Port Wentworth Recreation Department when the soccer is on. And, I volunteered on several boards before I got onto council. I was on planning and zoning, development authority. And my next step was, just be on council. So kind of figure out what was that about. I haven't been on council too long. I think this is going on about 2 years now. And I've learned a lot of things.
2 years already?
I think so. I think this January would be 2 years.
Holy cow. I did not realize that.
Yeah, time flies.
Ain't that true? So there's a comment in there that says, "Hey Sean, thanks for coming on and talking to everyone tonight and answering some questions. Why do you feel the council voted so quickly and didn't take the feedback into consideration?"
I think he's
Um,
talking about the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
um, Look, ordinances are something that we put in place for it to be amended, right? It's not something that's it's a living document, right? As we need, we can edit it and make more restrictions to it and stuff like that. The main reason why, people feel like it was pushed through because we got a whiff that somebody is planning on putting a data center in the industrial development through the owners of the industrial development, and they wanted to put an application in as soon as early 2026, and we had no restrictions whatsoever. They could literally put it in any warehouse that's empty right now or put it anywhere they wanted into the industrial zoning. They will literally categorize it as a warehouse, build a data center. Since we don't have any definition of data center in our ordinance, and so that's why we needed some kind of guardrails to put up there, so that way we can tell them, hey, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. If we don't have an ordinance or guardrails, they can literally just go in and put it anywhere they want it, and we won't have no restrictions.
Wow.
Gotcha. So, your council felt like that to put the definition of data center into the ordinance would give the city the ability to kind of put protections up. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Because the way our ordinance read was just on industrial zoning, we had no definition of data center.
Yeah. So we have another question that said, "What made you want to run?"
I was on planning and zoning board for 3 years, and then I joined the development authority. And Glenn Pick Jones reached out to me. He was a good friend of mine, while I was on planning and zoning board, and he was retiring from I think in Georgia Pacific, and he wasn't planning on running anymore. And he asked me if I wanted to run, and I was like, yeah, I'll gladly run for your spot. I was already involved in city through planning and zoning and development authority, and I own several local businesses in town, so figured that would be a right step.
And we have another comment. We have another one. Why not restrict them outright and have the zoning restrictions do all of it, and have the zoning restrict all of it?
Well, there's no definition in our ordinances for data center whatsoever. So it will categorize as an industrial development. If we do not have definition for data center, how could we restrict it?
Right.
Well, I think that what they're asking is if that was the case, and I think I brought this up while I was talking at the city council meeting, was that why don't we define it and then ban it so that we could make it stronger in the interim? Because I know you, like you just said, you had heard that they had made plans to do it anyway. So I guess that's where they're going with it. Why couldn't we just define it, then ban it, and then work on it a little bit more?
So, ordinances are something that, you have to put a definition in there first before banning it. We can't go in there and define an ordinance and then ban it on the same meeting, right? It won't work that way, because they can literally just go to the state and say, hey, this was your plan all along. They can go to a state, basically do a lawsuit against a city, and they have unlimited amount of money to fight the city, and they will probably eventually win, because they can afford better lawyers than what the city can. We'll be down a few $100,000 with the taxpayers' money. End of the day, state tells us, hey, you guys did not do the procedure right, and then we'll have no other choice but to grant it to them. This way, we have a definition of what data center is. We have restrictions on what they can do, what we cannot do, and it's a living document. If you feel like, hey, we need to make amend to it, we need to change this ordinance, make it more stricter, make it more lenient, whatever it is, we can now have the ability to do this stuff. Before, we had no ability whatsoever.
Okay. All right, I definitely understand that. And so Olaf said, um, why did you guys? Okay, so he said the community felt like it was rushed, and then that evening under consideration, they amended the ordinance to 27,500 people within 1 minute. Why not add additional language at that time to tighten things up a bit?
So the reason for the 27,500 was our population right now, as you know, as a city is around 18,000, right? And then it goes on census data. The population it's not what the city thinks it is. It goes on census data. So our census data is around 14,000. We probably won't be at 27,000 for another 10 years, right? Even if a data center comes, then it's not like they can come in there back to back and open data centers up, right? This gives us restriction that even if it does come, it restricted to one data center.
So do we need
And
the
that's-
ordinance in order to like not have them or reject them or ban them? Like, did we need to do this before we said no thank you?
Yes, because we don't have a definition. They can literally just put it in there, say, hey, this categorized as an industrial warehouse, and they can use it for a data center.
Oh,
At the same time, it looks like a warehouse. It acts like a warehouse. And all the difference is, instead of trucks and them storing stuff in there, they're storing computers and data.
Yeah.
Right.
So no trucks, just fans.
So, okay, some people feel like defining the rules on a data center meant inviting them in, while other people to control. I guess you just clarified that question right there. You guys needed to identify them so that you could put controlling on them, right?
Yes, to put a restriction on them.
I think the one thing that some people were asking about the restrictions, it didn't feel like there was some noise restrictions, but there's no restriction on the natural resources. Can you talk about, is there a plan to work on the natural resources?
I think there is some language in there that tells us that, hey, you have to comply by the EPD permits. You have to go through a process that involving state, where all the energy is coming from, where all the water and stuff is coming from. It's a DRI study that they will be mandatory to do, and that kind of defines all that stuff. The state takes care of a lot of that stuff for us.
Okay, so with the planning and zoning having made a recommendation and city council ultimately voting on the orders, what should the residents understand about how public input factored into the final version that passed?
I mean, Patrick, I think you are on planning and zoning. You saw the ordinance change, right? From all the input that we got during the planning and zoning, most of the concerns were addressed inside the new zoning ordinance. There were significant changes to the zoning ordinance, and all that input came from the planning and zoning meeting. We took in all the information that we got from the planning and zoning, and I mean, I sent you as soon as I had the ordinance, and you saw how much more restrictive it is compared to the first ordinance we put out.
No, absolutely. There was a definite change. Because like I said, the first one was literally, it seemed like it was just, like you said, defining it only. Then they did put the restrictions. I really like the population one, if we're gonna have to have it, which I don't think anybody does want it. But if you're going to have it, then at least if we could limit it to, by population, I thought that was great. All right, Brandon, question number 6, buddy.
Question number 6. So one of the notable changes in the final ordinance was adjusting the population-based cap on the data center. Can you talk a bit about how council approached that discussion and what role future growth projections played?
Well, initially the thing was that we had it at 20,000, right? And which we thought as council that we will probably get there within the next census, right? So that would be 5 years or something like that. And we wanted to give it more time to kind of, even if one comes, to see, learn, and get educated on what are the restrictions we did not put on before we allow another one to come in, which I don't want. I wanted it to be around 40,000, but we had to come to a compromise. What everybody else wanted it, as well on council. And then we decide that 27.5 will give us around 10 years to decide on C if we do want to do another data center or we don't want to do one at all.
With the stipulation of the cap, though, if they reached it, is that not like we reached it, so we're going to do it?
But it doesn't work that way because they will have to come in front of planning and zoning for that site plan, concept plan, against in front of city council for 2 readings and stuff like that. So it's not something that's just granted in, even for right now. Just because, we got an ordinance and they have, they're going to put in an application, they will still have to come through planning and zoning. They will still have to come through city council 2 times for concept plan and site plans. So it's not something that's a done deal. This is just kind of like guardrails to put up there. Because before this, we didn't have any.
I didn't know that you could do that. Like, you could just, that you don't have an ordinance for it, then we're just going to come do it.
So what they do is they categorize themselves as whatever it's closest on the ordinance. Since we don't have data center, they will just go under industrial warehouse. And they will categorize themselves as an industrial warehouse and put an application based on that. Now, if you reject it, they can go back to the state, do a lawsuit, and it's just a long, drawn-out battle. End of the day, lawyers end up making more money than anybody else.
They're good like that.
So, Olaf asked, what is the fine for violating the noise ordinance, or is it defined under current noise ordinances?
So that is going to be tied to our current noise ordinance, right? And if they do violate the noise ordinance, we can go give them a warning first. And if it continues to happen, we have the ability to go shut them down until it's fixed. Because before, in that first ordinance, there was not even a noise ordinance in there. And I think me and you talked before doing this stuff, and we put a restriction at it's got to be 55 decibels at the property line. And then you have another 500-foot buffer.
No, I know that. I think what he's asking is, what is the fine? So they break it. It's 75 at the line. Then what? What happens then?
We give them a warning to fix it. If they don't fix it within that warning period of time, then we have the ability to go in there and shut them down until it's fixed.
So we have another one. So does the announcement of the power plant in Rincon have anything to do with the zoning ordinance changing?
I'm not sure. Tell you the truth, we had that industrial development personnel reach out to us that we have data centers looking at it, and that's why it was of an essence that we have some kind of guidelines or guardrails of doing this thing. Because if not, then they could just put in an application and put in wherever they want it. And that's why it was, I know that community feels like, hey, this was pushed through, but it was necessary to put guardrails in there.
So there's a follow-up with that. It seems like there are conversations that are being had that the public and, dare I say, some of y'all don't know about. Y'all just need to know that this doesn't feel good to the citizens of Port Wentworth. Who is the person that spoke with y'all?
I think they're talking about the expert that Steve kept referencing. Did you guys get a chance to talk to this expert? I guess one of the questions is, I know that Steve Davis, the city manager, he done his. Art Lee said she done a bunch of research. Did everybody on the council do research, their own research on data centers and the impacts to the community?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I did as much as research I could. And, whatever I felt was necessary to put on the ordinance, I told them to put it on. Some of it was not something that they wanted to put on, and then they wanted to do it at a later date. But hey, at least we have guardrails down.
May I ask who brought up the whole data center kind of thing at the meeting?
It was the industrial development that's happening right across from Rice Hope. They reached out saying that, hey, we have a data center that's looking at the property, and what do we categorize it as? So because it doesn't have anything on the ordinance. And that's what brought it up, saying that, hey, data centers, if they're looking at it and these guys want to put it in an industrial zoning, we have no definition for a data center.
Right. I think, and hello, y'all. I'm just going to I think it's SPH 21 is the developer that was been talking to whomever. Because, I mean, Steve also said it's going to be one of the big ones, right? We're getting a hyper data center is what they're talking about, right?
We don't know who's coming. They wouldn't tell us. I guess they have an NDA or whatever, since they're looking at, they wouldn't tell us who it is.
Oh, the developer has an NDA that he cannot tell us who is trying to come here.
Yes.
We can find out.
Whoa, I bet you can't. I bet you can't find out.
We can research.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting to know because, like you said, I mean, I know they talked about the warehouse. The Saucy Canal was a big issue that we had done. Remember, Brandon, we did that video about the Saucy Canal?
Yep. The saucy.
So, yeah. That's wild to know. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay. District 4 includes Rice Hope and a larger portion of Port Wentworth's commercial corridor. From your perspective, how has this area evolved over the past few years, and what pressures or opportunities come with that growth?
My district is the largest housing area for city of Port Wentworth, right? We have more houses in my district than anything else, right? And I think housing is continuing to grow. One thing I'm against is more apartments coming. And that's why we just passed restriction on there again to put a moratorium for 6 more months for any rezoning on apartments. And I think, if it was up to me, I would put a restriction and shut them down anyway. I don't want any more apartments coming. I want more single family homes that people can buy. That's what I want. I'm done with apartments. I hate apartments.
You don't want to be pooler? What?
No.
Well, it looks like we're getting close. We got those apartments by Rice Hope, then they got the townhomes over there, and then they got another townhomes that are being built by. Aren't they building some by Rice Creek? In that apartments?
There's a property that's zoned for commercial that could be potentially. It's a C1 zoning, so they have ability to do a commercial in the front and some residential in the back.
So there's a comment. If the company has an NDA and they came to your city manager about it and all of y'all, why did y'all not put the brakes on this?
We can't put brakes on it if we don't have any information, right? They tell us that, hey, there's a data center coming, and we were like, hey, we don't have any zoning ordinance for data centers. Yeah. And they can categorize it as an industrial development inside the industrial park, and we won't be able to stop them. We need some kind of guardrails to prevent them from doing whatever they wanted to do.
So this whole thing was to really set the guidelines to make sure that if that does happen, that there's a set of rules, which was all this whole thing was about the data centers, was kind of setting the rules because you got whipped that a data center is interested.
So do I think that the rules that we put out are perfect? No, it's a living document. We live and we learn. That's what zoning ordinances are. You can always amend it to whatever city wants it, whatever citizens want it and stuff. But if you just don't have none, then what is there to edit?
I agree. I agree with you, but I also think that as we're doing the research, and Brandon, I know you've done extensive research on these data centers. We see they're sweeping. So I think what everybody gets worried about, and tell me in the chat if I'm wrong or right. We see this language, and this same kind of language everywhere it shows up. They end up getting a data center not that far after it, right? So it looks like this language is inviting them, not deterring them. And I understand what you're saying. And like I said, I'm not trying to start. I'm just telling you what I think the people are, and even me at the time. But then on the day after we do this language, Rankin Route the Road unleashes a huge power plant, so it just looks all coordinated. Can you talk to? I mean, because it just seems like city after city after county after county, and then all of a sudden Rankin mega power plant, and then Port Wentworth's got this zoning change. It like seems all weird and like there's some kind of collusion going on.
Like it's
inevitable. Can you respond to that a little bit?
Like it's inevitable.
So look, data centers are billion-dollar companies, right? Multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies, right? So they probably have stuff worked out with state government, Georgia Power, and stuff like that already, right? And once we found out that they are looking into Chatham County, especially Port Wentworth and FEM County, we were like, hey, we don't have anything like this. We don't have any ordinance, anything protecting the city. And that's why it felt like, that it was rushed, but we had to put some kind of guardrails there. I mean, they could come in there, put in an application in January, categorize themselves as an industrial warehouse. And then what do? Just battle it out in court for as long as we can?
Who has the money and the time for that?
Definitely not Port Wentworth.
That's the thing, that's why it felt like it was rushed. But we needed to have some kind of guardrails there. And then we took all the input from planning and zoning that citizens complain about, and we try to add as much as information inside that thing as possible. From that input, that planning and zoning was one of the main inputs that we got, and we try to put as much as stuff in there as possible.
I know it's kind of off the cuff, but like knowing the ordinances potentially. Off the cuff, do you have any of the ordinances that have been adjusted that came from the people?
This parking ordinance. We had the parking ordinance that we passed on right and left. There was certain areas in the city that, hey, it did not apply to, and we came back and omitted them out. One example is Rice Hope. I forgot the name of the streets. Where those little townhouses are in the back by Clearwater Circle? And one of the citizens reached out to me. They're like, hey, their houses are literally right next to each other. And the parking space in between, a car can't even park in between them. So he reached out to me. I talked to Steve. I talked to the fire chief, police chief, and we were working something out for them. So they will be able to just park on one side, have it painted white, and the other side would have a sign on there saying no parking. So at least that would be a permanent parking, and then we have to take that street out of our ordinance so that way it doesn't apply to them on odd even parking.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I think, I know that, like you said, it seems rushed because it was. I think you guys, he's acknowledged that. They wanted to put something to make sure that, we were protected if they come in. We can't combat everything. And there's more than just Shawn on the city council. There's more than one person on the council. So everybody has their inputs. So, I mean, I know a lot of people, including myself, wanted a moratorium, but we didn't get it. So I say, it sounds like you guys are willing, if we see that there's other changes that can be made to the ordinance, you guys are willing to change that. Is that correct?
Definitely. And that's why we want to hold this Coffee with Council on January 16th at Rice Hope Clubhouse. Come out, talk to us. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you want restricted. Come talk to us. We're not going to know what everybody wants until they come and reach out to us.
No, I appreciate you guys doing that. And if you want to talk, that's why we're opening this dialogue, and thank you for coming on, Shawn. I just really want to thank you for that. But also, they're sitting out there. They're going to be there for you at the clubhouse at Rice Hope. Come check them out then. And then you plan on doing this every month. Is that correct?
Yes, every month. We're going to pick a different location every month.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So on to, can you go to question 8 there, Brandon?
Yeah, I was reading all the comments.
There's a lot of comments over there. I want to say, everybody, thank you for the comments. I really appreciate it, for the likes and all that kind of stuff. Mackenzie saying that we're the smartest real estate agents in the game. Thank you so much. Thank you, Olaf. Hello, y'all. Everybody's coming on. And if you haven't hit the like button, please hit it. We're not done yet. I just want to thank everybody for coming on. So
Yeah,
All right, Brandon, go ahead.
A lot of comments. Okay, so when you look at Port Wentworth as a whole, so what's the city's broader vision for growth, especially as it works to balance the residential neighborhoods with commercial and industrial developments?
So we want more commercial than anything else. We just passed another thing on the December meeting. We are extending our 50% off ERU tapping fees and permit fees for a number of commercial projects, including, hotels, restaurants, hospital, daycares, and stuff like that. We want more commercial aspect of it, and that's why we did this, so that way, people can take advantage of it, save some money, and, bring some stuff that we need. And that's what we need. We need more sit down restaurants.
Need more liveliness to Port Wentworth.
Hello, y'all.
It's not a done deal yet, but we are working on this concept called Port Collective. If you guys get a chance, look up this place called Liberty Collective. It's almost kind of like if you've ever been to the Ponce Market in Atlanta. It's kind of like that. It will have 8 restaurants inside with a bar. It's going to have about 8 outdoor sand volleyball courts and a 18-hole pop stroke miniature golf course in there, and that's going to be right there by Anchor Park.
What? Cool.
So, I got a question. Does the data center, would the data center bring in more revenue than something of that nature, as what you're talking about, like as for the city and for the residents?
So, just give you an example of that, right? Our total tax digest for city of Port Wentworth, as of last year was 1.1 million, 1.1 billion. Was our tax digest, right? So that's what we collect the property tax revenue and stuff is. If a big data center comes, that would be about $8 to $10 billion in investment. So imagine the property tax that comes from that. If I had to guesstimate, probably anywhere from, even if they get some tax breaks or whatever through CEDA or Development Authority, I think it will still bring city almost $20 to $40 million a year in tax revenue.
Tommy said, "Putt." Hi, Tommy.
So what are we going to do with that investment? I think, if we get $20 million to $30 million to $40 million from the data centers, is it possible to get a hospital? She said her husband was having anaphylactic shock and it took an hour to get him to the hospital. So is there any thought maybe that money could be used for something like that, or is that even possible? Or
you didn't try fast.
Hey, I would love for a hospital to come. It's not up to us. They are private entities. If they want to come up there, we got some land around Anchor Park that we can do through our Development Authority. We'll love a hospital. We'll bend over backwards to have a hospital in our city.
Okay. My son,
it's not up to us. If they want to bring a hospital in our city, man, we will do whatever it takes to get them signed up. Whatever incentives they need, we'll make sure it happens.
Okay, excellent. All right, one project that's generated a lot of positive attention is Anchor Park. Can you walk us through what this development is and why it is an important piece of Port Wentworth's future?
Anchor Park is the largest investment the city has ever made into the community. With the Ghost Pirates being there, the amphitheater, soccer fields, baseball field, gym that's going to be in our second phase, pickleball courts, tennis courts, farmers market. I mean, we were going to have just about every. Yes. That's going to be in phase 2.
Thank you, woman, with her green space.
So that's our largest investment, man. I think that would change the way people look at Port Wentworth, and it's going to be a great park.
All right,
it's going to be for generations to enjoy. It's not just going to be me and you. Our kids and kids can enjoy those things.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. I can't wait for it to come. And that includes the path, right, to get there from where we're at.
Yes, we're working on a trail plan as well. So
So
once all the trail plans are completed, we'll be able to ride our golf carts all the way to Anchor Park.
golf
That's what I'm
cart,
talking
meet me. So okay, V9C said so. So then, why doesn't the city manager approach them for the hospitals?
We have. We're actually working with Optum Health right now, trying to convince them to do one at our Anchor Park. It's not a done deal yet, but we are talking to Optum Health.
You did your thing. You tried. You're reaching out. So
Okay.
they are doing their thing. They are trying to reach out and find.
We have reached out to St. Joseph Candler, Memorial, Effingham Family Medicine. We reached out to a few of them. The problem is, they want us to build a building for them, and we don't want to use taxpayers' dollars to build a building for them. It's end of the day. We can give you some land that's city owned that you guys can build it on, but that's a big investment. We don't want to use taxpayers' money to give them a building, and that's what everybody wants.
We also have another one. What is the point of the expense for practice arena for Ghost Pirates when all the revenue will go to Savannah?
I don't understand that question. So they're saying that they're just going to practice over there. It's going to be open to public. They will probably use it for about 5% of the time to do their practice, which will be only one rink. The other rinks are going to be open to the public all the time. It's going to have a full bar and restaurant in there. That's going to be seating about 100 people. It's going to have birthday events, like little rooms and stuff like that in there. I mean, I didn't understand the question, but that's what it's for. It's for public to use, and it's not just ice rinks. You can cover it up. We went to the Iceman's in Jacksonville, and they covered the sheet of ice and made it into a nice little gala dinner night. I've seen weddings that happen over there.
Yeah.
So I think what Crystal Myrick is saying is that, I guess, can you just say what the Anchor Park brings to the city of Port Wentworth? She believes that the money is going to go back to Savannah. What does it bring to Port Wentworth? I guess what she's trying to ask.
I mean, how is the money going to go to Savannah? They're spending the money in Port Wentworth. I don't understand that question. We're not in Savannah. We're in city of Port Wentworth.
Because the Ghost Pirates, their stadium is in Savannah, so they probably didn't know that you were gonna have like the skating rink and the bar and the restaurant and all that stuff. So that's probably where the confusion was, because who's paying to go to ice hockey practice rink when the ice hockey is happening in Savannah? Gotcha.
But it's more than that. It's the restaurant and the practice and the play. So this ice rink, you can learn how to skate. Aren't they trying to grow homegrown hockey people?
Yeah. So they're gonna have like minor leagues, adult leagues, hockey games. They'll have figure skating tournaments. They will have college tournaments there. They're gonna have curling tournaments there. It's just not ice skating. There's a bunch of other sports that they're gonna bring to this venue as well.
So who's paying for that venue in Port Wentworth?
So it's a public-private partnership. City of Port Wentworth will own the whole property. Well, Development Authority will own the whole property. And total investment between the amphitheater and the ice rink is around like $50 million. Don't quote me on this approximation. And OVG and Zoya Sports is paying for half of it, and then we're paying for half of it. But end of the day, all the revenue that's generated from that will pay for the bond. And City will make a lot more money than just paying the bonds. We will get the ownership. Let's say if something were to happen and Ghost Pirates and them fail, we will still own the building.
Gotcha. So we'd still be able to have all the cool stuff here,
yes,
with or without a semi-pro hockey team.
I love ice skating.
Yeah, come out to Port Wentworth and do some skating, buddy.
Fun fact.
How
I like
far
high
out are we? When is it going to be done?
They're saying summer of 2026, but you know how construction is, man. I'm thinking maybe like fall of 2026.
Oh, okay, so
We
not
have
far.
hopefully our first concert would be in October. That's what we are hoping and praying.
So is this going to be kind of like a smaller version of the Inmark Arena where you
It,
host things?
yeah, we'll have about 5,500 seating capacity at our amphitheater, and end market is 9,000.
I mean,
That's going to be huge.
that right there alone is.
I mean, Patrick, I think last time you went over there, right? I mean, you saw the renderings and stuff like that. I think you walked inside that place as well while it was under construction.
It's been a while, man. I got to go. We got to go back. I'd like to do a video update the public. We should do that.
Come on, let's do it. It's going to have, suites up there. It's going to have its own bar and stuff inside there. OVG is going to cater the food and stuff.
So,
go ahead,
Tracy,
Brandon.
Hey, girl, Tracy. Don't forget the splash pad, play arenas, trails, and the garden space. Hey.
Garden space. That's Tracy's big thing.
I think a lot of the frustration came from it was like this is going to be a practice arena rather than there was going to be a potential concert income. There's going to be a potential ice skating income, a potential restaurant and bar income. So,
hey, cool thing. I think in that Ghost Pirates facility, the coolest thing is the whole bar, like the top of the bar, is same thing like the sheet of ice. Is literally they ran the piping, so the whole top of the bar is going to be covered in ice sheets.
What?
You get a cold beer, you put it on, then it will stay cold.
Oh, wow, that's neat.
It's going to be cool. Like the kid from the movie where he licks the pole and he's stuck. Don't do that when you get drunk.
Yeah, don't lick the bar.
Well, that sounds awesome. All right, well, I want to give you the final question. Okay. As the city continues to grow and work through both opportunities and challenges, including things like zoning, infrastructure, and quality of life, what would you want residents, especially those in Rice Hope and District 4, to understand about the city council approach to these decisions moving forward?
Look, I have a 7-year-old son, right? My parents live here. We've been in Rice Hope for 17 years, right? I own multiple businesses in the city. Any decision I make is for the good of the city. I have to live here as well. My kids got to live here and everything like that. End of the day, I'm still a person that lives in the neighborhood, does business here, and then got to travel through these roads every day, right? So, whatever decision I make, I take that into account that, hey, is it going to improve life for people that live around me, for me and, for the citizens? I mean, all my decisions are based on, quality of life for the citizens, right? Because I have to live here. My parents live here. Everybody in the neighborhood, that's what it's all about, improving quality of life. And that's what my decisions are based on.
And you live right there too, so you would be.
I've lived in Port Wentworth for 17 years. I've seen Rice Hope go from nothing to as big as it is. Like literally, city of Port Wentworth had nothing in there but woods, and we've slowly grown. And I've seen it firsthand.
Well, I think it's amazing. Well, I want to say, Shawn, thank you for coming on and being transparent. I know that it looks like there's a firing range going on in the comments, but I thought you answered the questions that a lot of people wanted to know. And I want to say, everybody that's in the chat, please, I want to thank you so much for coming on, answering questions or asking questions of Shawn. I hope you guys get a better understanding of his thought process, at least. What I'm sick of seeing is people assuming things of our council people or anybody that sits on the council without actually understanding them and why they do what they do. So, Shawn, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I appreciate it. And we need to do an update to Anchor Park as a video, buddy, after the New Year's. That sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Right, thank you, Shawn, for coming. We appreciate
it. No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right.
And I want to thank everybody for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.